I know I saw. I just don't know who was interviewing Gerard Mayo after he took the job. When asked about the third overall selection, he says, we're going to take the best player at the most important position, and kind of laughed and smiled. Now, that's quarterback, clearly. What do you think? What are you hearing about the third overall conversation?
I think, put it this way, I think that the quarterbacks would have to eliminate themselves from consideration in order for the Patriots to not take a quarterback. By that, I mean that their leaning seems to be significantly in the direction of a quarterback. To me, I think the team is in such poor straits offensively, and they are trying to implement a program. I wonder if the Patriots even deserve to take a quarterback at this juncture. Huh. I mean, they're in disarray in the offensive line. They don't have a top-end receiver. They don't have a tight end under contract. They have one running back, Ramondre Stevenson, under contract. So there are so many different places. Now, you can say, well, you don't get a chance to pick in the top three all the time. You don't have your chance at a pick of the litter quarterback. And I totally understand that. So if the Patriots are convinced that they see the quarterback, whether it be Jaden Daniels or Drake May, and they say, that's a guy who can absolutely propel us, and we see him living through and getting to a second contract with us and being a playoff caliber quarterback, then go ahead. But if you have any reservations at all, and the most important reservation in my mind is, what's the resiliency level of the player? Because the team is going to not be good. They're going to have a coaching staff that is sorting itself out and finding out what its own identity is. So how will that player do when he's blamed for not being a good player right away? Will his family say, hey, they're hosing you here, this is a bad situation? Or do they find the most resilient kid possible? Like, what's the difference between Mac Jones and Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow's a better player, but why was Joe Burrow able to go 4-9-1, get injured, take all the sacks he did, and still come through the way he did? You could say, well, Cincinnati did a great job surrounding him with talent, but why did Mac Jones not? Mac Jones had a better rookie year. Again, he's not as strong-armed as Joe Burrow, but the development around him suffered, and now he's virtually unusable. So I think that the resiliency and the mental makeup of that player has to be so far above what normal expectations for any other player is, that has to be a major consideration. And if he's not there, don't take him.
Well, what about maybe handling that business in free agency or using any of their draft capital? And I know, as you just mentioned, you need a ton of help. You need a lot of coal for this engine, new coal for this engine. What about Justin Fields, if he's available? What are you hearing about the Patriots maybe making a move for a veteran before the draft and using the third overall pick on Marvin Harrison Jr. instead? What about that?
To me, it's just conversation as to, what do you want to do at that position? Say Justin Fields rips it up, and then you're in a position now where, okay, we just spent a year with Justin Fields. We really like him. We really like the way he played. Now we have to pay him $30 million. I think you like the controlled nature of the rookie contract with a quarterback. You have a pool of stand-ins, bridge quarterbacks, whether it be Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, even Jimmy Garoppolo, despite the 2-game suspension. Go ahead and do that, and then maybe take a quarterback later. Or do that and say, okay, we're going to sort it out. Can Bailey Zappi be our backup? I wouldn't move on from Mac Jones until you absolutely know that's an asset that you cannot use. You don't need him anymore. Excuse me. But to me, I wouldn't make any decisions until you have to make the decisions. The first decision has to be made, though, Rich, in a couple of weeks at the beginning of free agency.
Yeah, and that was going to be my follow-up question is, what about Mac Jones as a bridge quarterback? Because, again, I know you use the words virtually unusable with him.
Yeah.
And I know the fan base is really down. That's an understatement. Brockman over there is already blanched at the conversation.
Everybody blanches.
Just even being broached, but why not, right? I mean, is he totally irredeemable there, Tom?
It's not that long ago, Brock, that he actually had a game against the Buffalo Bills that he brought the team back to win 29-25. So there's a quarterback in there. There's a quarterback in there who can play. But what if things go sideways here? Or what if, even if they're going well, he is so mentally broken in New England that he's double thinking and triple thinking? And the leadership aspect, I think, was difficult for the organization to swallow. Despite the bad situation that most people agree he was put in coach-wise, I think his acting out really soured, not completely, but certainly soured the organization on whether or not they can see him as a leader all the time. And I think it might be best for both sides if they move on from each other. But in a vacuum, when you look at it, you say, well, it's a kid on his fourth year of his rookie contract. It's manageable. We've seen him win games in the NFL. Why would we move on from him? And it's the extraneous things that make that decision for you. The blanching. It's an epidemic of blanching every time you mention Mac Jones up here. But it makes sense to play it out until you look at but really, what's it going to be like if he throws a pick? People are going to lose their minds.
Like the Colts game in Germany.
Well, yeah. But like I said, when I saw him prior to that game, he was trying to be positive, and he was very positive, and I loved talking to him. But as I said before, he needed a hug. You know what I mean? Like, he just needed a hug. He just and that wasn't coming. It wasn't
coming.
You know, honestly, man. But those picks were terrible. I mean, Belichick had no choice but to hand Bailey Zappi a mop and say, "You try and clean up this mess at the end of the game." I don't know where the fake spike came in, but you know.
What's interesting too is, don't forget, he got the start the next game after the bye week, all the time in the world to prepare for Tommy DeVito and the Jets, and he threw 2 picks in the first half, like mind-numbing picks. So that to me is an indication of, okay, he can't think it through. These are mistakes. One was a breakdown between he and the receiver that folks have said was not on him. The other one was just a bad throw. But, you know, everything he does right now is seen through the prism of Mac's a bad leader, Mac doesn't have a strong enough arm, Mac's soft, and Mac can't play here. And I don't agree with all those things. I think he's going to have success someplace, but I just don't think that it's here.
All right, before I let you go, what do you think the Patriots are going to do? I know it's a big question. 7 weeks out, pretty much here. What do you think?
I think they're going to take the quarterback, but I will continue to say every chance I get as a paid mouthpiece / hot take artist that they should trade down unless they know that they have the quarterback and there are no reservations at all, and that they're not going to have Sam Darnold or Trey Lance or Zach Wilson or you name the quarterback that ended up on the scrap heap. Unless you know that, don't take him.
Because the cupboard's that bare, essentially. What you're saying?
They have 3 players, Rich, who I think would be looked at as possible starters on other teams on offense. Ramondre Stevenson, maybe Demario Douglas as a slot, and David Andrews. Otherwise, nobody's under contract. And when who's up, Hunter Henry's up. They have to re-sign all those guys, too.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.